One of the reasons why early morning work shifts stink is because you go to bed early and then you miss out on one of the biggest blockbuster trades prior to a trade deadline in recent memory, which is what happened to me last night when I woke up early this morning to find that Kevin Durant is now a Phoenix Sun. And this was something that obviously Kevin Durant wanted in the summer, or at least that was his preferred team, but I'm still kind of reeling. You wake up and then you just see a league shifting move like that, and you're kind of just sitting here, you know, thinking a bunch of thoughts. What did the Suns look like? The Nets, how would you grade their return for Kevin Durant, a top 10 to 12 player of all time, a top 5 player right now, was a leading MVP candidate in my personal top 3 before he got hurt. Just a bunch of stuff runs through your head, but I guess I will give my first blush reactions. I was going to do a reaction to, you know, the Lakers somehow, some way, in a cornered situation, pulling a Houdini and actually pulling out a very solid trade. But I guess I'm just going to have to wait on that, and they're probably going to pull another move. But regardless, this is the trade to react to. The Phoenix Suns, this puts them right in contention in a jam-packed Western Conference. And just to list out the details, the Suns got Kevin Durant and TJ Warren from the Brooklyn Nets for Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, Jay Crowder, who had been sitting at home this entire season, 4 unprotected, yes, unprotected first-round picks this summer in 2025, 2027, and 2029, a 2028 first-round draft pick swap. It's a steep price to pay if you're the Suns, but it's a price that is well worth it to pair Kevin Durant with Devin Booker, who is one of the best players in the league, Chris Paul, who looks like he's lost another half step, a full step, but is still very effective as a point guard and has actually been playing very solid since coming back from his heel injury, I believe it was, and DeAndre Ayton, whose efficiency might not be what it has been the last 2 seasons, but is averaging a career high barely in points, still averaging a double-double, is basically just, you know, there to clock in and clock out, as his attitude has seemed to been since the season started. I really don't blame him. Now you pair Kevin Durant with that. I think first blush reaction, depth be damned. This makes the Phoenix Suns one of, if not the favorite, along with the Denver Nuggets, to come out of the Western Conference. I also don't want to forget about the Golden State Warriors, because I have said before, well, before this trade happened, that if the Warriors somehow avoid the play-in and make the playoffs just outright, I'm picking them to come out of the West, because I believe in the championship pedigree of the big 3 of Draymond, Steph, and Clay that much. So the Warriors, a healthy Warrior squad, is still in this mix for me as well. The Grizzlies, they are a very good team, but I think they are 1 player, maybe 1.5 players away from being considered a true contender to come out of the West. Kevin Durant going to the Phoenix Suns makes this team, I think, one of the clear best teams in the NBA. You just got to get Kevin Durant back on the court. He's still out with that MCL sprain, but you're adding Kevin Durant with the mid-range artistry of Devin Booker and Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton in his rim running. If you just get DeAndre Ayton to lock in a little bit more on defense back to his 2020-21 levels, especially in that playoff run, then the Suns will really be cooking with gas. But Kevin Durant, before he got hurt, was arguably, at age 34, having a career year just in terms of efficiency, and he was playing some of the best defense of his career. So you're adding Kevin Durant's elite 2-way play. Now, will he play at that level immediately when he comes back from the MCL sprain? Who knows? The scoring and the offensive artistry, I'm not worried about that. Kevin Durant always comes back from injuries and looks like fucking Kevin Durant. The proof is in the pudding at this point at how he looks when he comes back from injury, especially offensively. Defensively and chemistry-wise, I'm sure it's going to take a bit. But, I mean, in terms of depth, when you're talking about the Suns' depth and a potential playoff rotation, I mean, You still have Torrey Craig starting at the small forward position, and he's shooting 40% from three this year. He's just somebody who is going to do all the dirty stuff and play defense. Damian Lee continues to shoot the hell out of the ball. You still have Landry Shamet, who, you know, is good for like an eighth man type of role. Josh Okogie, while his offense is very much obviously in question, and especially with his shooting, he is one of the better defenders in the league on a permanent basis, in my opinion. Dario Saric is obviously trying to get back into form after missing all of last season with the torn ACL, but he's been shooting like 44% from three since the new year started. Somebody who could play power forward and small ball five, adds a little versatility and some lineup combinations for the Suns. I know the depth got exposed a little bit when Devin Booker went out, but now that he's back, and then you have Kevin Durant and Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton, you can obviously stagger those guys, and that'll help out the rotations a little bit. Chris Paul is making guys like Bismack Biyombo and Jock Landale be super effective, especially backing up DeAndre Ayton. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of podcast, YouTube videos, and all that stuff basically pointing to the Suns' shaky depth after making a trade like this, especially when you lose a Defensive Player of the Year candidate last year like Mikal Bridges, somebody who was expanding his offensive repertoire this year, averaging over 20 points per game since the new year, and losing a guy like Cam Johnson, who is one of the best shooters in the NBA, another 3-and-D wing. But when you have a megastar like Kevin Durant, you do this trade and you can stagger the minutes and you can figure out the rest later. I think the Suns' depth issue is kind of overblown, especially when your top four guys in the rotation, your championship core, is healthy. You make this trade, you figure out the rest, and I think the Suns are now firmly one of the best teams in the West and one of the best teams in the NBA. I don't want to do like a Nets referendum. That's a separate video for another day that I definitely plan on doing, because my God, the last 3 years, I can't imagine being a Nets fan, and just all the twists and turns and this roller coaster that you just experienced. That's a separate video for a separate day. But if you're a Phoenix Suns fan, it hurts absolutely to lose fan favorites like Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson, but you get Kevin Durant. The new owner, Matt Ishbia, clearly had new owner syndrome and wanted to make a splash, promised Monty Williams to give him enough talent to win a championship, and he clearly did that with Kevin Durant. Just don't hire Isaiah Thomas to your front office and you're good. But for the Suns, this is... man, I still can't believe this trade happened. I'm going to have to think about it a bit more, but obviously the Suns are a contender and they should be the co-favorite at least to come out of the Western Conference.